Hello, friends. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Improv and Magic. I'm LD Madeira, you are who you are, and I'm very happy to have you here once again. First off, I want to apologize for last week's episode. We had a bit of a technical issue, but it looks like we've got it all worked out, so everything's good now. And everything is great today because of today's guest. He is one of the busiest working magicians in the world, and his name is Nick Locapo. Nick is an internationally celebrated magician, instructor, and lecturer, and is also a regular performer at the world-famous Magic Castle in Hollywood, California. Nick also performs at other well-known magic venues like Chicago Magic Lounge, House of Cards, Mystique Dining, and Kellars. Nick currently stars in his own show called Masterpiece Magic, which NBC Universal calls absolutely mind-blowing. In Masterpiece Magic, Nick performs impossible levitations, flawless sleight of hand, and super-powered mind tricks that blur the line between what's possible and impossible. Nick is also the official magician for Penguin Magic, one of the largest and most well-known magic shops in the world. I really enjoyed my talk with Nick today, and I was very fortunate to get him on a day where he wasn't so busy. We had fun talking about magic, as well as his process for creating his performances and how he continues to push himself to be at his best. This was a great conversation, and I hope you all enjoy it, my friends. Here now is my guest, Nick Locapo. Friends, I feel very, very lucky because I am talking to one of the world's busiest magicians today, and I'm so appreciative that he's been able to make time for this today. Please welcome my newest friend, Nick Locapo. Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Luis, it's all lies. Don't listen to him. I just woke up. I'm just sitting here drinking coffee, petting the dog. I got all the time in the world. What's going on?
You're there sitting and relaxing in your wonderful chair. You've been promoting that chair a lot. What's the name of that chair again?
Oh, this chair. What is the name of this chair? Maxnomic. Yeah, the best chairs on the internet that you can buy. That's all I know about it. That's a funny story. I could tell you to you at some point if you wanted to. But yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I always love a good chair story.
Yeah, right.
What's the name of your dog?
This is Archie. Yeah, Archie's 7 months old.
Oh, that's a beautiful dog.
He's a big fan of the podcast, for the last 7 months. So.
I'm sure he is. What time does your day normally start on a regular basis?
Well, that's the nice thing, right? Is I don't have to start it at any particular time. I think if we are filming and like kind of getting into the rhythm of making products and working on projects, we like to film around like 12 to 1 o'clock or so. But I usually get up pretty early and run and stuff. So I don't know, some level of consistency which is a hard thing to maintain in these types of jobs, but yeah, for the most part, it's kind of a midday thing.
It's great to be your own boss, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Yeah. Have you done both?
Well, yeah. Well, I haven't really had the opportunity to be my own boss because I do have a day job, unfortunately. Okay. I can't complain too much because it's a good job. It is a good job. It helps me pay for all this stuff.
Sure. Yeah, no, I've done the work the 9 to 5 enough to know I never wanted to do that again. So that's why I got into doing magic tricks. Didn't really
As
care
many
how
magicians
successful.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into your story, Nick. Where did you grow up and what was growing up like for you?
I grew up in Pepperell, Massachusetts, which is I grew up on like an old chicken farm in the Pepperell's probably a pretty busy place these days, but in the 80s, there was nobody there. We don't have any like street lights there or anything like that. It was pretty awesome. growing up, I just had a brother, and we just beat up on each other all the time and ride our bikes downtown. It's pretty like American dream kind of childhood, I guess.
How would you say you were like as a kid?
My grandmother used to steal me away, take me on road trips in the back of her van, and paint. And I just saw pictures of this stuff recently. It was very hippie looking. If that's you look back on the sheets and the curtains that were in the back of that van, and you're like, man, that's what I did on the weekends. Like, should we just get dumped off in the middle of nowhere in the Berkshire Mountains and paint? And she was probably smoking or whatever the hell she did back then. But yeah, it's kind of just pretty adventurous, I guess.
What were some of the adventurous things that you would do as a kid, out of curiosity?
Well, when video cameras came out, which was, I think I got my first camera in I guess the late 80s. It was one of those over-the-shoulder type deals. Weighed 50 pounds. We filmed a lot of movies with me and my friends. Or at least we tried to. Which was also fun because you had to edit it on camera. I don't know if you realized that back then, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, other than sports, we played a lot of sports, but once the camera came into play, we used that quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember in high school, my best friend and I, we would do that a lot. My best friend, he really wanted to be a movie director, and he would literally direct us. And we did all these sorts of movies. We did horror movies, we did action movies, we did one drama, I think. But that was really a fun time, and I feel like that kind of gets underrated these days, the value of just messing around with your friends. How much of an important thing was that for you to just mess around with your friends with a camera?
Yeah, I guess looking back is probably a big part of it. Because now, if you're a kid messing around with a camera, you probably got to start going making money with it, right? You put it on YouTube and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were only doing it for fun. And also looking back, I guess I was kind of into the special effects or trying to make things vanish, and it was all fun. It's probably it's a space to be creative when you're just hanging out with your buddies and doing nothing. So we weren't doing anything; it was just having fun.
When you were a kid, and I think most people when we're kids, we kind of have that dream that we have, or we kind of have that goal or several goals. For you, what were some of your goals or aspirations growing up?
Well, I wanted to draw. I drew a lot. My grandmother was a painter, but I had a friend growing up. His name's David Greco. And Dave is, to this day, he's probably one of the best illustrators in America. And I knew very early on that I was not as good as Dave. So although I was pretty good. So I think that kind of like crushed that pretty quickly. I also wanted to play shortstop for the Red Sox, but that also wasn't going to happen. So,
but it's good to dream.
Maybe not. Yeah, it's too late at this point. Probably. Yeah.
Probably, yeah, for that. So when did you become interested in magic?
I only knew magic as a thing that showed up on TV occasionally. David Copperfield was really the only guy that I was even aware of. I know there was some others in the time, but back in the 80s and 90s, his specials were like big events that happened on TV. Couldn't miss it. And I thought it was awesome, but I also didn't know what a theater was. If you ever watched any of his old shows, they would actually take place in the theater. And then, of course, they'd go outside of the theater to do like the big event or whatever he was going to do. But it just kind of seemed like a TV show to me. I didn't know it was something you could actually do. I just thought he had superpowers, or I don't know what it was. It wasn't until I saw David Blaine on TV in the 90s where he was on the street doing card tricks. He was in bars doing card tricks and things. And at first I thought he was he is real. He does all of his things are completely 100% real. But I was questioning like, hey, is this something I can do? Because like, if I can do that, I need to know I need to know how that's done. What is this? How is this possible? And that's what really, my first time my brain actually realized I could do those things, even though I didn't know how to do anything that he was doing. Still don't know how to do anything he was doing. That's special.
Is street magic something that appeals to you more, or do you just kind of like it all?
Well, I mean, I love it all. At the time, that was everything to me, because, well, that's kind of what was hip and cool, even though I didn't really realize there was I didn't even know there was other styles of I wasn't smart enough to put together that Copperfield was doing stage magic and Blaine was doing street magic. I didn't know. At the time, I was dumb enough to be like, oh, no, that Copperfield stuff, that stuff's terrible. This is the real stuff. Let me show you this card trick. These days, not so much. I'm more in the theater world as opposed to the street magic stuff. But back then, that's all I did. And I used it as more of a social tool than anything else. I wasn't like trying to become a magician. I had other things going on, but it was the way that I would go out and meet people and really, I would use it for adventure, really. Just kind of go out on a Friday night by yourself and see who you can meet.
I feel like thanks to David Blaine, there really has been this big renaissance of street magic and close-up magic. Why do you think close-up magic has become even bigger now, especially since it's all over the internet? Why do you think close-up magic is a lot bigger now than it may have been before?
It was unknown. I think Blaine kind of showed everybody that this is cool. It's cooler than the stage stuff. Because really, close-up magic wasn't modernized until the 70s, 80s, and TV had a big part in pushing stage magic forward because it was like something that TV needed content, right? And close-up magic wasn't going to do it. The stage magic was the bigger spectacle stuff. Anyway, now, of course, everybody's got a phone in their hand, and it's easier to watch a 3-second close-up trick than it is to watch a 15-minute mind-reading stunt. So, it's only been on an upwards trajectory since Blaine. He was just kind of the first one to understand. Well, there was two things of that Blaine special. One, he was doing strong close-up tricks, but two, he was also putting the attention on the spectators and showing how people react to magic,
which was very new to do at the time.
Nobody had done it. Nobody had done it yet. Which also has parallels to some of like the prank videos that became popular in the 2010s. I mean, it's not really so much about the prank; it's about how do the people react to the prank, right? So, and I feel like we've kind of died off of that a little bit now. I think people are less interested in the close-up clips that you see online with how people react to it and more about the actual trick.
What's your particular approach to learning and developing a trick?
It's probably the ways that I learn a trick are different than most people would have to go about it, because most times I'm learning tricks because it's a product that we're releasing. In most cases. I learned tricks for myself as well, but I've also found that this process that I'll tell you about kind of has bled into my own process. So I work for the world's largest retailer of magic tricks. And part of my job is, hey, Nick, we just bought Luis's new vanishing card trick. It's incredible. We're going to make 5,000 of them and we're going to sell them. But we're going to have you teach it and we're going to have you perform it and then we'll edit a demo together. So it's like all of a sudden I have to become an expert in your trick, which it's like an honor a little bit, but also a big burden because I nobody can do the trick better than the person that creates it in most times. And a lot of times when you're sitting there thinking about somebody else's trick, you're like, oh, wouldn't it have been better if I do this? Well, most likely you thought of that already and you didn't do it for some reason, right? So there's so many things that go into that. I approach it like I have to teach it, which is something that nobody else would do if you were to learn a new trick. But when I get a new trick, I have to learn it with the intentions that I have to teach it to thousands of people, right? And make it seem like I've done it for a long time. So a lot of what happens is I have to be one, an expert in the particular subject. So I'd have to find every vanishing card trick that I know of and just like see the methods, see the performances, just absorb it all. And then two, really analyze how you perform it and how you taught it and make sure that everything that you want to know about it is in that tutorial as well. And then like I start working on the actual trick. And it's funny, by then I've already got so much knowledge in my brain. I haven't even done the trick yet to anybody, but yet I've got like a history and a background and a goal that I want to hit when I actually teach it. So it's a strange thing. Like, I don't think anybody else would like go down that path, if they were trying to learn a trick, but I kind of have to. So then I'll go out and get the performances. And then after I've taught it on video and then edited myself teaching it, it's like, it's even easier to do. You know what I mean? Because I've had to like watch so much of myself doing it and edit myself, and it's crazy. And by the end of it, I'm pretty damn good at the trick.
Well, you, of course, as you mentioned, are a part of Penguin Magic, which every magician in the world knows about, the biggest magic manufacturer and distributor. How did you become involved with Penguin Magic?
It's I just kind of got lucky a little bit. I used to code video games for a living.
Did you really?
I had a company that started with some friends in the early 2000s, and that's a whole nother story. But the what happened was I wanted to get out of it, so I moved to Florida with a high school buddy. Long story short, or we can go there if you want to, but I ended up working at Universal Studios in a magic shop, and at that shop, I met some other magicians, and one of those magicians was his name's Dalton Wayne. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Dalton was a very talented video editor, and he used to submit tricks to Penguin for them to sell all the time. They hated his tricks, but they were like, "Your videos are really good. You should move up to Ohio and edit video for us." So he did. He left the magic shop and he went up there. And then I ended up leaving the shop a couple years later and kept in touch with Dalton and said, "Hey, how's that Penguin thing going?" He's like, "They need somebody like you. You should come out." So I took a drive out and checked it out and was like, "Is this an actual job?" And said, "Yeah, okay, screw it." So I've been here for almost going on 15 years.
Wow. Amazing. And never look back.
Yeah, it's been all fun since. So,
well, you also invent tricks yourself. What is your particular approach to inventing a trick? Like, how do you go from here's my idea and actually getting it executed?
Yeah, it's, sitting around with Dan Harlan all the time. He used to talk to a lot of the lecturers about what their creative process is during the Penguin Live lectures. And I felt like everybody had like this clear, like, this is how I create magic tricks. And I only ever create tricks out of like, to fill a need or something. If I'm working on my show and I'm like, man, I really want to illustrate deja vu here in the second part of my show. What are the best tricks to illustrate deja vu? And then I will start with commercial tricks. Like I have no shame in doing like other people's tricks that they've published. A lot of times those are even better than anything you're going to come up with because they've been done God knows how many times, right? But I'll give you an example. Like there's a trick called Bill and Lemon, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But in the trick, somebody signs a dollar bill and that bill disappears. And then you cut open a lemon and the bill is found to be inside of the lemon, which is an incredible trick. And it's really hard to beat. And I'd been performing a version from Doc Eason for 10 years. And, it's like a masterpiece. Perfect. You can't improve it. Like, why would you even try? And so the reason why I had to try was because I like performing at the Magic Castle and some other venues, and I'm just not going to go do Doc Eason's Bill and Lemon at the Magic Castle. It's just not something I would feel comfortable doing. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I got to create my own bill inside of, and we call the plot Bill to impossible locations. So Bill vanishes and ends up inside some other crazy thing. And in like weirdly knowing, full well knowing, I'm not going to create something that's stronger than this Bill and Lemon. It's just not going to happen. But that's where it starts. So like, I wasn't like dreaming up some crazy trick. It starts because I got to get rid of this one and put another one in. Well, what could I do? And basically, I've landed on this particular routine, which is still convoluted and crazy. It gets great reactions, and I love doing it. And I like doing it more than the Bill and Lemon because it's mine now. But it forced me to look at the props in my show and figure out, okay, where could a bill end up? And in doing so, I've created this, it's unique to me. It's a bill disappears. And at the beginning of my show, I float a playing card. It flies around my body and all this stuff. And then I borrow a bill, and then the bill floats as well. I get the bill signed, the bill disappears, and then the bill reappears inside of the card that floated at the beginning of the show.
Oh, wow.
So, and to get it done is completely unique, and that's it. So that's like a custom trick that came from me, but I didn't sit down with that goal in mind. I sat down with, I need to get rid of this Bill and Lemon. What could I do? Damn it, I don't want to get rid of this Bill and Lemon.
Totally hear you. It's interesting, and I'm sure you must see this from your time at Penguin Magic and selling all of these tricks. You see a lot of magicians, so many magicians that perform the same trick over and over and over again. Like, how many times have you seen someone perform the Bill and Lemon trick, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, what do you do to make a trick that you perform feel like you and not like anybody else's?
Man, you got good questions. That's a hard. I think that only comes with experience and just keep going over and over and over again. Because I often wondered that as well. I think a big thing that has changed that for me is just writing everything down. Like I don't know. Here's a trick that like a lot of people do. It's called 5-card box by Bill Abbott, or the 5-card opener by Bill Abbott. And Bill, it's perfect. Like, you just can't improve it. I really believe that the script is perfect. Everything about it is perfect. But if you were to just memorize that script and then never think about it again, well, you're probably going to sound like Bill Abbott whenever you do the trick. But if you force yourself to write it down and then like say it back and listen to yourself saying it and then write it down again and then watch yourself do it, and then possibly like change some music underneath of it, all of a sudden your delivery and cadence and things will start to change. And with the grand goal of knowing the script so well that it can come out of your mouth like the way that you would actually say it. And now you've gone at least far enough away from what it might sound like and feel like, even though if you're saying the same exact thing for the most part. And that's not going to come the first time you do it. It's just not. You can't. You got to do that trick. If that's a trick you like and you want to get your own version of it, well, you got to do it 200 times in front of people. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, there is a lot of trial and error when it comes to developing magic.
But I think, just go back on it, I like to start from a place that's already good. I could start from like complete originality, but it's gonna suck for as long, maybe longer than the 200 reps with bills. So I just like to start from a place that I know is already good and then eventually get there. Just don't get intimidated by people that tell you it's got to be your own. You'll get there. It's just do it this way until you figure it out.
How much thought do you put into the entire routine? And when I say that, I mean, a lot of magicians just think about just the trick, but they don't think a lot about what they're going to say or how they're going to present it. And Johnny Thompson had an interesting quote where he said that a lot of times magicians stop thinking too quickly. How do you go about creating the overall feel and the overall atmosphere of whatever magic routine that you're creating?
These days, it's easier. Well, it's because I work under a theme or a frame in my show at the moment, which at the moment my show is about predicting the future and time being a circle and all this craziness. So these themes are always there. And when I select a new trick, I need to think about how to incorporate these types of ideas into the trick. But if you're just doing a standalone trick, if you're just doing, here's my first trick and here's the second trick and here's the third trick, the only way you can really make them start to feel like something that's all together is the transitions in between, those were some of the hardest things I struggled with when I first get started. I find them easier now, and I think it's only because I've forced myself to come up with bad transitions for as long as I did. And even a bad transition is a good one, as long as it has some sort of sense, makes some sort of sense. It's better than my next trick is this. I used to try to find bad jokes because I'm not a joke writer. That was really bad. It just depends on where you are and how many tricks you're doing and like what you can fill it with, because it's a lot of times, if you think like a host, transitions can get a little bit easier as well. So for example, like between trick 1 and 2, I'll take that time to just say, hello, my name is, and here's why I'm here. Here's my next trick. And then between trick 2 and 3, if there was other people on the show, you could give them a round of applause. And speaking of that balloon that guy had, let me show you this trick I learned in kindergarten. Just reach for literally anything. And then you could like thank the venue. So there's a lot of like tricks MCs use to like fill time in between that might spark some ideas or help you try to do that.
Do you think it's better to create a magic show that centers around a theme like what you have, because it makes those transitions a lot easier?
I think so, but it's taken me maybe 20 years to figure that out. I often think if I started backwards from where I'm at now, like where I'd be. I never had to work under a theme until like maybe 2016. I did a burlesque show down in Key West, and I was loaded to the brim with great open mic material and great like MC material. All of it, little 3-minute pieces that all stood on its own, just went from A to B, and I could transition them if I had to. But and then I went down to Key West, and the show was called The Magic of Spring, which is a dumb name, but everything had to be like spring themed, like terrible theme. Like you need to theme your stuff for the the emergence of new weather and new beginnings and all this stuff. And it's like, oh, this is terrible. But I would have never given myself that challenge. That's not something I would have never made a magic show about spring, right? But in doing so, it forces you to write what you have to write, to something that you like, to get it done, because you got to go up on stage in a couple of days and say it in front of 400 people. So I think if you can find, my advice would be at this point, like if you find any theme that you wouldn't mind, it doesn't have to be the end goal. Like it's going to change like 1,000 times, but find a theme that you can just be like, all right, let's try this, and start to incorporate that theme throughout your show, whether it's time travel or predicting the future, or you could just be simple ones like superpowers or something like that. Just try it. I think it would help you with your writing. But I'm definitely somebody that did none of that for the majority of my career until only recently. So, yeah.
You have gotten a lot of success with your show, Masterpiece Magic. It is a wonderful show. And one of the things that I'm very impressed by is that it kind of has kind of a classy feel to it, which looks really, really good. Is that by design, to give your show kind of a classic feel?
It's at the moment, I love working on my show, like magic wise, but I've gotten really into trying to figure out how to sell the show, right? How to sell tickets to a show and how to market it. And yeah, at the moment that was by design. Mostly because I found a great artist. Her name is Kyla God, you know how you're friends, Instagram friends with people, and you can never remember what their actual last name is anymore. It's Kyla how do you say it? Mosford. I'm looking it up right this second because she is so incredible. To me, she's probably the best artist available that has been able to capture that like golden age of magic feel. Kyla Moffat, Moffatt. She's on Instagram. All of her stuff is incredible. But when I found her, I was like, man, this would be some cool stuff because I'm trying to appeal to the general public and get them to come to a magic show that they have no idea who I am, right? So how do you do that? And so that's why it has that vibe, at least on the internet. It changes a bit when you get there. But I think the showmen of the past kind of were onto a little bit of something as to why people want to go see a no-name magician. It'd be different if I won AGT or something like that. But if you're just a thing, I'd rather advertise the show as opposed to myself. Who the hell knows who I am? So yeah.
Right. Yeah. I want to ask you about a particular trick because it's a trick that you invented and it's become wildly popular, and it's called the Nemesis deck.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
What was your process in inventing that trick? Obviously, without giving away any secrets.
Yeah. So again, it's the same thing. I'm passionate about a particular gimmick deck of cards that magicians are well aware of, and I've forced myself to write routines with this deck that are a little bit more out of the box. Now, I've been working on a book for too long at this point, and one of the tricks in that book is the Nemesis deck. However, when I wrote that routine, I was like, it would be better if the deck was a little bit different than the one that we're talking about here. You can still do it with this one, but man, if I actually got this made this way, it would be better. You know what? Let me do this as a full release. So that's kind of where it came from. And because I'm writing the book, I'm still approaching it like I do any of my video stuff. I have to, when you teach a trick, you kind of have to to have the basic version of the trick, the intermediate version, the advanced, if that trick lends to it. And so when I was writing this book, I'm like, you know what? I need a trick that kind of fills this gap here, this kind of do as I do gap that I think is possible with the deck. I guess maybe let me try writing a trick in that vein, So I wasn't I didn't come up with the idea for the trick originally. It was just kind of like the project dictated that I had to have a trick that filled that checked that box. So that's kind of where the trick came from. And it kind of became a trick that I would show to people when they would come to Penguin, and it's designed to fool magicians.
Do you enjoy being able to fool magicians?
It's not something that I'm need to have to do. I just like to be able to share something with them that they haven't seen before. It's kind of the same thing as sharing a good movie or joke or something, because if you get to share a good method with a magician, it's kind of fun. We see so much stuff, so to be able to share something that's a little different is cool. I'm not one of those guys that goes to the conventions. I don't know how many conventions you go to, but there's those guys that are there and they basically work for 6 months on something to show to magicians at the convention. And you always feel like, oh God, I'm just such a terrible magician. I can't do any of this stuff when you're at those things because people are just there doing the wildest stuff. Do you get to many conventions?
Not too much. Not too much.
Well, you'll see the craziest stuff if you ever did. And it makes you feel like you suck at magic.
Do you enjoy working on tricks that are pretty easy and don't require a lot of skill? Or do you enjoy tricks that take a whole lot of dexterity and skill to master?
I guess I like both. Easy tricks are great because, they make my job easier, but you usually end up finding something you didn't expect to love about it, whether that's a well-crafted script or, just usually they're easy because the method's really good, right? So, you can take that method and go, man, that is just so smart. And I have piles of this stuff in the back of my head, like, oh, I should use that somewhere else. I never will, but it's good to know. And then the hard stuff, I guess I'm lucky that a lot of the things in the early 2000s that I worked on were all difficult, sleight of hand, because I thought that's what real magicians did, the hard stuff. There wasn't an emphasis on easy stuff anyway back then. So, but I think it would be harder to learn the hard stuff now because you just don't really have to. It's not something that you need to do. And I think people are kind of scared of the hard stuff these days, which is kind of too bad. So I do enjoy it when it's something hard. There's something a little bit more accomplished about it. Like after the trick's over, if you nailed it, it feels good. But I like the easy stuff is just as good.
From Penguin Magic, what are the types of tricks that typically sell really well? Is it the easy stuff, or do you get kind of like a mixed bag of stuff that ends up selling really well?
Man, there is so many answers to that. It's a combination of, it's like a magic combination of what sells well. In general, you cannot go wrong with card tricks, right? You just can't. Now, the best card trick of the year is probably not going to sell as much as like the best, I'll just say, novelty trick, which is a trick that's not a card trick, but who knows what it is, whether it's a shoelace trick or a ring trick or something. Now, the problem is with those tricks is like a card tricks any magician can do. But when you get into the novelty tricks, like if it's shoelaces, it can only be sold to people that wear, like, let's just say they're sneaker laces. It can only be sold to people that like to wear sneakers. And so you eliminate all those magicians that are doing their corporate gigs. And so if the trick is so damn good, though, you can sell to everybody. And those are the tricks that sell the most, but those only come around every now and then. The other thing that dictates it is the plot itself. If it's like super convoluted and might be a great trick, but if it's like just something that you can't sum up in a sentence, it's probably going to have limited appeal. But like something like the flip of a coin, being able to predict heads or tails, not only sells to magicians, but also can sell to laymen, right? Or people, because like some guys like, wow, if I could win a free drink down at the bar if I could predict the head flip of a coin. So, not many people, which is a good thing, but not many magicians out there are creating magic to be crafted to be sold. I genuinely think most people create magic because it's fun and they hope to sell it. But there is a world where you could study the market data and literally craft tricks that would sell and which would be good tricks. And there's some guys that have done that historically, but for the most part, I think everybody just kind of, hey, I made a trick. Let me see how many it'll sell. And that's it.
How do you feel for you about the fact that so many of the tricks that you invented and helped really develop, like the Nemesis deck, and of course, another big trick we see all over the place now is the Demi deck, because it's such a strong, powerful effect. How do you feel about the fact that now you see millions of magicians taking a trick that you've worked on and they're performing it in their shows and they're popping up all over the internet, and people are even performing some of them on AGT and other shows like that? For you, how does it feel to know that these tricks are things that you have invented or helped develop?
It's a big responsibility, right? Like, I'm always humbled whenever I see something like that. It's just more obvious to us now. If you take the internet away and just go back to like the Di Vernon days or whatever, how many of us do Triumph? It's literally all of us. Anybody that knows how to do card magic probably has some version of Di Vernon's Triumph. But they were never able to see it back in the day. Now you see it. It's in front of your face. You put a trick out and then literally every magic account on the internet is doing it. It's cool. It's cool, especially when you know what it is. It's more the little subtleties that you can tell that Oh yeah, they watched what I was talking about there. You know, nobody else would have done that if you just learned the trick. But yeah. You actually listened to what I said, whether I was correct or not. I don't really care, but I can tell that you actually watched the video. It also happens in like live performance. I've been to shows where somebody gets up on stage and starts doing some patter or whatever, and I'm like, huh, that sounds really familiar. I don't care. None of that bothers me at all. The fact that I can help is great. When I was learning magic originally, that was all like really off limits. It felt like you were in trouble if you were using a line or doing somebody else's trick word for word, even though it was published. You weren't supposed to do that, right? But no, please, if I can help you take the next step, do it, because yeah, we're all just trying to do the same thing.
Have you ever watched someone doing a trick that you developed that made you go, "Oh God, no"?
Yeah, it happens all the time too. But I can't. I'm just not involved in that whole like, oh, this is a terrible thing. Get it off the internet. I read that stuff and they'll learn. You know, it doesn't matter. There's people exposing magic all over all over the place on the internet, which is also good and bad, and who knows. But it's not going to stop. So what are you going to do about it? Yeah, I don't say anything. If people ask, I'll tell them. But if not, it's kind of none of my business at this point. So it's not hurting me, but it'll hurt them in the
Right,
long
because once
run.
you've sold it, there it is. It's out of your hands. You have no control over it anymore.
Yeah, there's the grander talk about is it hurting magic as a whole or anything like that. But I let people do what they want to do. There's enough room for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I know it's a much bigger topic that magicians still like to talk about. Is it hurting magic or not? But I would argue that because there's a lot more on YouTube, I feel like it's getting more people into magic. There's a lot of people who don't have access to those expensive magic shops or those prestigious clubs that now, because of YouTube, you get more people that would never otherwise be exposed to it, and you get more diversity in it too. Would you agree?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think we're only starting to see that wave now. I think it's existed for 10 years. People learning magic online, and it's kind of filtered itself out to the people that actually still like the magic. And they've now discovered, the magic shops or conventions or whatever. Yeah, magic conventions look completely different than they did 10 years ago. And there is a difference. There's still like a difference of the magic that you can learn like at Penguin as opposed to what you're going to want to watch on YouTube. YouTube has that like, I'm here for 5 minutes, teach me something mindset to it. And if you are making magic tutorials and you're good at it, you are designing your tutorials that way to give them what they want so that you get a thumbs up and a good comment and more views. If you watch a magic lecture on Penguin Magic, they're 4 hours long. Nobody's going to watch that on YouTube. But that's that difference between, are you serious about this stuff or not? So I think we're only starting to see those people now start to bleed over into whatever this. It's not, I guess it's kind of behind a paywall, but it's really becoming part of the community as opposed to, just learning tricks by yourself at your computer. So yeah, and it's everybody. It's a completely different landscape, which is great.
So here's something that I always like to ask magicians, and this is a question I also ask to improvisers as well, because I'm always fascinated by the idea of how you present yourself and how you display the characterization of yourself. So when you perform, do you feel like you're showing the audience 100% you, or do you feel like when you perform, Nick, you present some sort of character? And if you are presenting some sort of character, how much of you is in that character?
Yeah, that took a long time. It's me. It's just me. I don't know how to do a character at all. I feel like anytime I've tried, it's been absolutely horrendous. But it's just me. It's been crafted only through stage time, and that's it. I think the magic shop really got that out of me. and that at the magic shop, I was doing 20 shows a day, 5 days a week down at Universal Studios. And if you're trying to get serious about anything, man, if you could find any sort of setup like that, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. And it really came down to just whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm talking about, just learning the script well enough that it's just coming out of me, and it changes every time I'm up there. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, you've had experience performing on stage, and you've also had experience doing walk-around magic and street magic. Of the two, do you find yourself liking one more than the other?
These days, it's all the theater, the stage magic, the most, because it's hard. It's the hardest. It's so hard. It's incredibly difficult. I mean, I could make it easy, but I choose to make it very, very, very challenging. I guess, that's also because I put 15 years in on close up, and then got interested in stage, and I'm still learning so much of it these days as well. So it's so much of a challenge. It's more satisfying at the end. The beer tastes better at the end of the show than as opposed to just doing a couple card tricks at the bar. So it's very fulfilling, and it feels more like everlasting as well. Something to be proud of.
I think something that doesn't get talked about enough is, I'm hearing you say, like, it took me 20 years to develop this. I've been at this for 15 years, et cetera, et cetera. And nowadays, there's a lot of people who really want to get good at magic, but they want to get good at magic tomorrow, especially because we got TikTok and Instagram and all this stuff. And I think people don't really understand the time that it really takes to really develop yourself. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's tough. I feel bad sometimes for people today, because I would have fallen into that same trap when I was 21. If all this social media stuff existed, I would have been in it. I would have been in it deep. I would have been the guy on the beach showing the girls in the bathing suits magic tricks for likes, and that would have been me. It's tough, and yeah, I get the idea that you want to just learn it overnight and do it. And I didn't go into this thinking, yes, I'm going to learn this trick for 20 years. It's just 20 years just flew by somehow. I don't know how it happened, but I wish it didn't, but it did. And the other problem is, to make content, you need new tricks all the time. I didn't need that back then. I did the same 5 tricks over and over and over again, and occasionally I'd find some new ones, but they weren't quite as good as the other 5 I knew. So, I wanted new tricks, but I was just doing the tricks that got the best reaction. So, their venue is different. My venue was impress people at the bar and try to meet the band, and let's get a couple free drinks and, make some new friends. Their goals are, I need 100,000 subscribers yesterday. I need 40 videos on my TikTok account to get started. That's tough. And those are different skill sets. And here's the good news, though, is those are skill sets that if you keep at it for 20 years will be different skill sets than mine. I don't know what that leads to 15 years from now, 10 years from now. If you get good at that, you're going to be excellent at something else, 10 years later. Well, I don't know what that is, but, you can tell me once we hit 2030.
What I like about the magic that you do is that you really do take us on a journey through every routine. And nowadays, what you see very popular, and it became especially popular during the pandemic, was the quick trick, as I call it. It's just like, the card that turns into a watch, just like a quick bam, 10-second thing. How do you feel about that rise of the quick trick all over the internet?
I mean, I love it because it shows you the most random things. That watch, the card to the watch thing is a hilarious little one. You know what they are manipulation tricks, basically, from the 80s, 90s, the person that would stand on stage and just do trick after trick after trick to music. Mm-hmm. There's so many awful magic props from back then that fill that gap, for sure. So yeah, it's the same thing as these days, if you, well, go back to the 90s, if you bought a magic DVD, it would have 50 tricks on it, you know? And now, if you buy a magic video, it's got one trick on it, you know? It's the same thing. It's just back then you had to do 50 tricks in your set to make it a show. But now you don't need those 50 tricks. You can get one video out of each trick, which is actually kind of great. You know, makes your life a little bit easier. But yeah, it puts the highlight on that miracle of the card to the watch that would have just gotten lost within a 8-minute act back then.
Yeah.
Both are relevant, but yeah, I like them.
Here's a question I'm always fond of asking for people who perform at the Magic Castle. You've had the opportunity to perform there. It's world renowned and the best of the best perform there. Do you recall the first time you got to perform at the Magic Castle?
Yeah, I mean that was like I didn't have many goals when I got into magic. I used it as a social tool. I had no concept of where it would take me ultimately. And I didn't even learn of the Magic Castle until well into it, and never thought I would ever perform that. That's not something I would do. No, why, how that, what would have to happen for that to happen, you know? So the fact that I even got there and did it was mind blowing and was a big, big goal in my brain, like a big check mark off my list. Like, I can't believe I did that. That's crazy. Now it's like, it's wild to think that I even say no sometimes when they email me. I'm like, oh, where have I gotten? But of course, yeah, I remember that I was in the parlor of prestidigitation. So, and that's even wild. Like, had I known I was going to be at the castle, there's no way it wouldn't have been anything but the close-up room, right? Because that's all I knew how to do back then. But the fact that I'm doing stand-up magic in the parlor, like, mind-blowing. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if I remember the first show, because I was probably just trying to remember 1,000 different things in my head, but I remember the whole week for sure. You know, it's cool because you get to invite your friends and family out, and the castle's wild. So here's like a quick thing. Like, I have a friend, his name's Riccardo Berdini, who's just this hilarious Italian magician. And when I only say that because like he is the Italian, and he's like a action actor in LA as well. So I remember I get a knock on the dressing room door and he's like, "Hey, do you have seats open for this next show? Because you can kind of reserve a couple seats for your performances." And I say, "Yeah, I just have one because my dad's coming to the show." My dad was there, you know, so he was going to see me for the first time at the castle. And I was like, I got one seat next to him. He's like, "Oh, okay, because Dolph Lundgren is here with me. He wants to see your show." Now, Dolph is a 80s action star in a bunch of terrible, terrible movies that I used to watch with my dad all the time. And I was like, okay. So it was just wild to like come through the curtain and dead center is my dad and Dolph Lundgren sitting next to each other, which is just like, where am I? Only at the Magic Castle can wild stuff like that happen. So you end up leaving with all sorts of stories like that. And anytime you perform there, yeah, it's crazy town.
Do you get nervous at all when you're performing at the Magic Castle?
Not anymore. That the magic shop beat that out of me. There's just no. I did almost somewhere between 15,000 to 20,000 shows at Universal Studios, and it just becomes a non-factor. At least for me. I'm not saying that it wouldn't make some other people nervous as well, but it's like last on my list of things that I'm worried about. I'm well prepared enough. I've been in enough situations. I know what tricks I'm doing. And even still at the end of the day, I'm doing a magic show. What's the worst that can happen? You know, there's going to be another one 30 minutes after this one. So just have fun, you know, enjoy it. That's all you can do. So I don't have time to get nervous. I'm sure there's probably a situation out there that's going to make me nervous, but it's so minimal. I was nervous at Universal, but 1 week of shows, which was like 100 shows, gone. That's all I could do. So just, if you hate it, it sucks, but force yourself to go do it. Go put yourself in a position where you have to do an absurd amount of shows for a period of time, because I promise you'll get so much out of it, even if you hate every last second of it.
Yeah, nothing's a better teacher than experience, I think.
It's it. You just have to do it over and over again.
I am so fortunate because I'm catching you at a moment where you're not that busy, but I know that you are extremely busy with your show and with Penguin and all this other stuff. I'm curious, how do you manage to keep yourself centered and grounded with all the busyness that you have?
Exercise. It's basically the only thing. Especially as you get a little bit older as well, you got to have some sort of routine. No routine is great, but your body still needs to have some sort of, like, it's morning, it's midday, it's night, it's time to go to bed. It just kind of has to. So running really does that for me. I've also found that to be the case with some other, high functioning, high busy schedule people. As I've met more and more people, it seems like that's something that really grounds a lot of people that are into a lot of different things. It doesn't have to be running. It can be, literally anything else. But an important part of my day, nonetheless, is snowing today here in Ohio. It's awful outside, so I wasn't able to go out there and run. I'm looking out the window right now, and the snow is going both directions somehow. I don't know how that's happened, but
it's
that's
magic.
a big part of it. Yeah, I know. That's a big part of it for me, and also just writing every day as well, and really kind of thinking about what is in my day, and what do I expect to get accomplished, and then executing that for sure, and just kind of holding myself accountable.
Are you one of those people that just has to keep doing something, or do you enjoy a good day off?
I don't know how to not. Magic's so much fun. Like, I feel like if I'm doing nothing, which I am, I can do nothing. But if I am doing nothing, it's like, man, I could have been looking for that routine, or I could have been writing that script or looking this up. My show has a never ending list of things that need to get done. Some of which need to get done before the next show, or some just need to get done over a stretch of time. So, there's always something that I could be working on, no matter what time of day it is. But yeah, no, I like watching sports. I'm from Boston, so it's illegal for me to not be a Celtics or Patriots or Red Sox fan, no matter how bad they are. So that's a thing, I still like to go see movies from time to time. We'll probably go see Dune 2 tonight. And that's kind of it. Magic's still my hobby, so that's the tough part. It's my job and my hobby, but that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Here's my final question to you, Nick, and this has been an absolutely great time. What's the one piece of advice that has served you well that you'd want everyone else to hear?
So much of it goes back to just you got to put yourself in a position to get some performance reps in. That's the big thing. If you want to do, if you're somebody that wants to end up performing, yeah, it's interesting to think about the TikTok and the Instagram people that are putting out routines all the time, because this basically advice might not be relevant to where they might end up. What they might not end up doing magic shows on stage. I don't know what happens to those people. But anyway, when I was working at the magic shop, my first day, and it's basic advice, but my first day, and this is crazy. You know who Michael Amar is?
Of course,
right? He's just one of the most well-respected teachers. And I had moved to Florida. He lived down the street, right?
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. And I'd only met him a couple times at this point, but I was going for my first day at the magic shop, and I stopped at Publix in the morning to pick up breakfast, and Michael Amar was at the grocery store. Sounds like a lie, but there he was. And he saw me. He knows my name, which blows my mind. Hey, Nick, what are you up to? Because I'm dressed up in a vest and a tie. I'm like, hey, well, Michael, I'm going to the first day at the magic shop. And he's like, wow, he asked me some questions about it. And he kind of understood what I was getting myself into. He knew that I was about to embark on doing an absurd amount of shows every day for as long as I could stand it. And so he told me at the time, when Michael's about to tell you something, you listen, but he told me to make sure that I use it for myself and not to let it use me. And I do think I carried that into every performance, because that show, I knew not the script. I knew every second of the script. I knew every inch. I knew where I was standing. I knew what my mouth looked like, where my left hand was at any point of that script by the time I was done with it. There's nothing I didn't know. I could see the Matrix, right? There's nothing any audience member could have ever said to me that I had never heard before. I was dying for literally anyone to say anything to me that I had never heard and then crafted an explanation or a response to. It was science at that point. So it's very easy to get extremely bored with the script. And many people I worked with would just vomit it out of their mouth. But with the mindset of, not letting the show use me like that, I never took a show off. I was always, I'm sure I had shows where I sucked, but I tried to be present and search for anything that I could learn in any one of those shows, any one of the 15,000 shows that I did. And that was important, because I just definitely learned things that I cannot learn any other way. There's no way I could have learned the things that, I know I will never know my show, Masterpiece Magic, as well as I knew that show. It's not possible, because I'll never do my show that many times. I don't think, but, and I know that there's things in my show that I'm missing because I can't see them, because I just never did them that way. And I guess that was it. So just don't let your job use you. You got to take advantage of it. And that was what I did.
Wonderful. I love that advice. I think it's great. Well, Nick, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I wish you the best of luck in everything else in your future and your career, my friend.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
No matter what, keep performing. Keep getting your reps in. This is such a great piece of advice. Do good shows, do bad shows. Just keep doing. It's the only way to make yourself a better performer. I love that, and I believe all of us who are magicians and improvisers can benefit from this as well. I want to thank Nick Locapo so much for his time today, and I urge you to check out his show, Masterpiece Magic, now performing at the P3 Magic Theater in Columbus, Ohio. Learn more about Nick at his website, nicklocapo.com, and find tickets and info for his show at masterpiecemagic.com. And if you're a magician looking for some great magic tricks, visit the world's largest magic shop, Penguin Magic, at penguinmagic.com, where you'll find some of the greatest tricks, books, and lectures. Remember, friends, don't give up on yourselves, because what you have to give to this world is so special. Just keep sharing it. Speaking of which, please also share this podcast. Let everyone know what a good time you're having, and don't forget to like and review. I'm LD Madeira. Thanks for being here on Improv and Magic, and I'll see you next time. Take care, my friends.